If you wanted to just like make a list of qualitative benefits of having relationships with clients where you have earned trust, you've earned benefit of the doubt, and something goes wrong, and their first thought is not, what did he do wrong? Their first thought is, this is going to be explained to me in a clear way, and there's going to be a solution. And when you have this rapport, when you've developed this and have the benefit of the doubt, your clients or customers.
What's making the biggest impact on the customer? Of course, you have to deliver the thing you promised you would deliver. Going above and beyond in a way that the competitors are not, that makes the customer feel a certain way. And that was really the primary focus, is like, well, how do you do that?
I was in a competitive match. It's a big tournament thing that happens like throughout an entire year. Because Ash knows absolutely nothing about golf and never listens to when I tell her stuff. She goes, so what happens? I'm like, I lost. I forfeited. And she's like, you can't pick it up later, can you? I'm like, what?
Welcome back to another episode of the Who Cares Podcast. I'm Jay O'Brien, and
I'm Jeff Jekyll.
So what's in store?
Oh, you want to jump right into it? We're just because with a little banter. You want to talk about how you made me stay out of the office for the last 4 days because you were scared to get sick?
I mean, okay, this is common sense, common courtesy. If your whole house gets sick, you stay home. You end up being like one of these people who are like, I feel fine, and then like 2 days later, you're throwing up or whatever, or you're carrying something, you infect the whole office. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's invisible. You have no idea if you have it or not, or if you're carrying it or not. So the common courtesy is to stay home.
Sure.
And common sense.
So today, we're talking about the intangible edge. Basically, we've been talking a lot about the benefits that people get, and we're getting asked all the time from people about upping your game in client experience, in care, delivering, thoughtful experiences to people. And a lot of people do that for selfish reasons, right? We preach as much as we preach. You're going to do this because it's the right thing to do, because you're going to do this because it's the kind of person that you are. You're going to think about business this way. So it's basically a conversation about motivation. And we always say, well, we don't really care why someone's listening to this. Learning how to be more thoughtful and show people that you care more. You can be fiscally motivated. You can say, I just want ROI. I want people to give me referrals. I want people to grow their business with me. Or you could just say, I'm a successful person. I'm really thankful and appreciate everybody who's trusted me. And I want to show them that I care. So I'm going to treat them better than other people treat them. And it doesn't really matter what your motivation is, because you'll start to feel the benefits on the qualitative side and the quantitative side. But today I kind of wanted to talk about qualitative benefits.
Yeah, and I also think that if someone's intent is to manipulate someone by appearing to be very generous and going above and beyond for them in hopes to get something in return, like that, you can sniff that out pretty fast, I think. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. One way you can sniff it out that's obvious is somebody like asking for things right off the bat. If you do something that is meant to be generous and selfless, even if the manipulative part is if you're not open about your intention. So if you're doing something for someone that feels selfless and you create it in a way that feels selfless to them, but then you immediately ask for something in return, automatically they know, oh, that's why you did that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can tell it, you can sniff it out. So these are things like qualitative benefits. We always tell people, if you can measure this for us within your business, once you start upping your game, I'll be your best friend, because quantitative super easy. Like if they know their percentage of business from referrals last year to this year, if they know their percentage of cross sales internally, right? Those are easy things. But when we say, okay, you're going to build trust with your people at a completely different level. You're going to earn the benefit of the doubt, right? You're going to have smoother conversations when you have an issue, because every business has issues. Things come up, things don't go as you plan, or in certain industries, they're completely out of your control. I just got back from a speaking engagement with Financial Advisory, a big financial advisory firm. And I was talking about that a whole bunch. Like these people are there to manage your money and to help you, earn money on your investments, but they can't control the market. They can't control the economy. These things are completely out of their control. So, but you can see a client potentially getting angry or being disappointed with their service because you lost them money or you didn't make them a large enough return. That's totally out of their control. So you focus on the things that you absolutely can control, which is the relationship that you have with the person.
Yeah. So I guess rewind a little bit. There's a whole cycle here. You've got companies out there that are focused solely on new acquisition, new leads, sales, get the new customer. And if we haven't talked about that, maybe we will on some episode where like people are just hell-bent on new.
Yeah.
So almost unanimously when you speak with a company, you go, hey, what are you doing for your existing clientele? Like, how are you taking care of them? How are you staying in front of them? Like, how are you showing you care? Almost every time they're like, I'm so bad at that. Almost every time.
They also say no one really asks me that.
Yeah,
right? They're so used to getting pitched.
I don't think it's because they don't want to. I think it's because maybe they haven't even thought about it. It's very time consuming. Even if I could remember, what would I do? That sort of thing. But what's crazy here, and here's like the paradox of it all, is that out of all of the action that's happening to get the new customer and all the different streams of revenue and sources of business, you've got these online leads, you've got cold calling, maybe you're doing a content marketing strategy, maybe you're speaking at conferences. There's so many different lanes. And if you followed those through and you said, okay, all those ones that are converting, and included referrals in there, and asked the company, of all of these, which one is your favorite? What's your favorite one? They're going to say referrals.
Yeah.
And why? Because for the reasons you mentioned, the intangibles. So a referral, granted, it's probably from an existing customer, right? It's being handed to you on a silver platter.
Yeah.
So it's yours to lose, right? There's built-in forgiveness. So if you've told me to go hire this CPA or this roofer or whoever, for me as the customer, it's actually great because you've done all the heavy lifting and vetting for me. And so now I don't have to think there might be a blind spot as I'm shopping around. It's like, okay, Jeff's giving the endorsement, I'm in. So already this person's got built-in forgiveness, right? It's a much, much more enjoyable experience. I'm less likely to question this person's advice at every turn or grind them down on their price or whatever it is. And to your point, if and when a mistake happens, whether it's returns or whatever, I've kind of already bought into this person's character because you're bought into it.
Yeah. Well, and we talked in a previous episode about reviews. Well, we know that a personal reference trumps all those reviews. I can see 500 reviews from people in the neighborhood or the area or whatever about somebody's service. But if you, and I trust you and I know you, I'm a friend of yours, and you tell me, oh, I work with these people, they were great, that's going to carry more weight than thousands of those reviews.
Sure.
Right? So you have that benefit out. So the benefits here to a business person, I mean, you did a talk once that was, you called it zooming out and reclaiming your life, which is essentially creating the type of business or relationships with your clients that allow you to run your business the way that you want to run. Meaning especially when you were doing real estate, right? People expect you to respond in 15 seconds. And there's all these things. If you wait more than 2 minutes, you're not going to get this deal and whatever it is. And you basically were like, I don't want to live my life like that. I'm going to be successful in this industry, but I don't want to live my life like that. I would say that what you were able to create as a way to be successful in the industry, but treating people in a way that you earn the right to live your life the way that you wanted to is a perfect example of the qualitative benefits of creating those client relationships.
Yeah, because if you rewind a little bit and you think what's making the biggest impact on the customer, of course you have to deliver the thing you promised you would deliver, right? I'm going to give you money, you're going to give me this. You've got to do that, you have to do it well. But above and beyond that, the impact is illustrating care, delivering experience, going above and beyond in a way that the competitors are not, that makes the customer feel a certain way. And that was really the primary focus is well, how do you do that? Because I'm not doing that by scrambling and answering my phone every 15 seconds or running around town. That's actually not delivering any value at all. I'm just a cog in a machine and you're interchangeable with anyone. So that's actually not the way in which you're delivering that impact anyway.
Sure. Well, and also one thing I always thought was cool was there were preconceived notions in the industry of things that, and people that we work with that are in real estate that they feel like they have to do just because it's the way they've always done it, right? They have to show up at every single inspection for hours and they have to, be at absolutely everything. And your approach of basically making them feel know that they were constantly thought of, that you were taking care of them in a million different ways that did not require your time and attention and energy of actually showing up to all, you kind of proved that You don't have to be at those things, right? People are doing those things and I would say sacrificing their freedom, their life, their ability to go out and help more people to be there when they didn't have to. And you were only able to do that as a result of, creating that type of experience, the trust and the forgiveness and also setting expectations.
So, I mean, this is kind of bringing up a whole other topic, but if you're in a world where the customer gets to decide what your process is and what your operation looks like, every single one of those customers is going to have a different perspective on that. And if you try to adhere to all of them, you're going to be scrambled and running all over the place, regardless of what industry you're in. And every single customer will actually feel you being that scrambled. So it doesn't make sense no matter what. Like at the end of the day, when people say that, like in the example of real estate, like my customer likes when I'm at the inspection. They like when I'm at the appraisal. They like when I answer my phone at 11 p.m. It's like, they don't know what they like, okay? You have to decide this is going to be the best, most impactful experience across the board. This is what's going to get the deal done in the best way possible. This is how everything's going to remain efficient and make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. Me doing it your way is not the solution to the problem.
One thing we talk about with the qualitative benefits, I tell people all the time, is creating a situation where an issue or would-be issue is diffused before it even ever comes up. Whether it's from like early days in real estate, whatever, can you think of anything where it's like you knew, oh, this would have been an issue if I hadn't already developed the rapport with this person?
There's tons of examples like that. In fact, I just came across one today in my inbox that I'm not personally involved in, but I could see how this would unfold in two different ways, one with rapport and one without rapport. But let's just say, are we still using real estate as the example?
Use whatever you want.
I mean, I guess we could just keep it
Use
there.
one today. Or, okay, fine.
Okay, so let's just say that the client, the customer, the buyer, the seller, whatever, gets some email that like there's going to be a huge delay in the transaction because some paperwork was missed, and it comes from the title company or escrow or whatever. If there's no rapport there, if there's no experience to lean on, if there's no personal relationship like that bound us together, there's probably going to be a knee-jerk reaction where my phone's blowing up or emails like, "What do you mean this is getting delayed? What's going on, Jay?" Like
their first instinct is to think you fucked up,
100%,
or just didn't tell them something that you should have told them, or
right. But if there's been enough deposited, right, enough good deposited, that's probably not the knee-jerk reaction. It's probably like, I'll see how this unfolds. I'm sure Jay's going to provide some explanation in the next hour or whatever,
Yep.
And they're just chill, because you start to understand the person you're doing business with, you start to understand their character. And that's much more important than this one-off, experience or whatever you want to call it, So for sure, intangibles there. But what I was going to say about this cycle, okay, so if a company is looking at every single source of business and they could actually drill down each one and say, oh, well, online leads aren't my favorite because they're ice cold. If you can get a hold of them, you've got 2 seconds to try and convert them. Not my favorite, right? Like speaking at conferences, not my favorite because it involves travel and all kinds of like legwork and prep and whatever. And you can go down the list. But a referral, if you're like, well, man, this just got referred to me like on a silver platter by this customer. All I really need to do is hop on the phone and convert it. This person's expecting my call. They actually want to do business with me. This is super simple. Great. So rewind. What are you doing to get more referrals? Okay. And maybe it's calling and asking, right? That's not what I'm suggesting.
Sure.
But if we're saying elevate your game as a company by delivering an experience that is unforgettable and makes a positive impact, well, that's just going to feed itself, right? Like people are well taken care of. They have a great experience. They want to tell people, thus more referrals. And it can be extrapolated out to any industry, any business.
Yeah. Well, and a big part of that, we always talk about how it's the only one that begets itself. You're going to be doing all the rest of them forever, right?
Yes.
You're constantly having to reach out and do all those other things, but the one that's referrals. So that is, but again, that's pretty quantifiable.
Sure.
Right. Like the qualitative nature of these things, like making life easier or making a transaction or the experience with somebody easier. Can we think of any other ways that we do all the time about benefit of the doubt that gets created or just like an ease factor of having that kind of rapport?
Yeah. I mean, think about like changing your flight or changing a reservation or like just any sort of flexible policy with a company where you're like, I know they're going to be understanding. I know they've got this policy in place that allows for some elasticity where you can be like, yeah, I mean, it's why I buy stuff on Amazon a lot, right? Like I could go directly to the manufacturer, but it's like, I don't really know the return policy. I don't know if I have to like sift through this. I know if there's an issue with Amazon, it's going to be resolved instantly. I'm not going to have to hop on a phone call, nothing. And that sort of rapport like makes me feel like this is going to be seamless and easy.
I guess the more we talk about it, a lot of the qualitative benefits of developing a rapport with a customer, it's hard to discuss just the qualitative benefits because they naturally result in things that are measurable. Like they naturally result in somebody buying more or somebody working
well, maybe. Okay, so here's an example, something we do here that like, and other places I'm sure do it too. It's fewer and far between, but where the result is you're going to lose as the company. Okay, you're going to lose, and
fiscally, or how do you mean?
Yeah, fiscally, you're going to lose, right? So, like, I just listened to a great podcast episode with Tim Ferriss and Seth Godin, and Seth Godin talks about doing the right thing, and the results are not two of the same. There's plenty of times you can do the right thing, and the result is bad.
Like, or one half of the result is bad.
Well, so here's like an example. This isn't the example he gave, but it got me thinking. Like when you're at the blackjack table in Vegas, and there's strategy to this game.
Oh, I love this.
There's a right and wrong way to play the game based on odds, right? So the dealer's showing a face card, you're showing a 2, you should hit, right?
Yep.
But if you hit and you bust, the result is bad.
Right.
But it's not to say you made the wrong move.
Right.
You probably made the correct move.
Textbook.
Correct. Yeah. So what I'm saying is here, there's plenty of times in which somebody maybe is upset, has a concern, maybe wants a refund, whatever the thing is. And if you can diffuse that situation by saying, you can hop out of survival mode because I can tell you, however we end this call, you're going to be stoked.
Sure. First thing out of your mouth. I love when you tell people that, our success team. Yeah. First thing out of your mouth is, hey, look, I want you to know that however this call ends, whatever that is, we're going to make sure that we do right by you.
So even if I'm trying to turn it around or say, hey, maybe you should look at it from this perspective, or I wouldn't have this knee-jerk reaction to cancel all these things or whatever, and here's why. I'm not going to start there because the whole time in the back of their head, they're thinking, they're not giving me a refund.
Right, and I got to be on defense mode.
Yeah, you're in survival mode. You're taking something from me. It's loss aversion, right?
Yep.
But if you can just diffuse that right up front and say, however this shakes out, we'll do whatever you want, but consider the following. Mm-hmm. So in situations like that, you very well could just open yourself for a quantitative loss. Right?
Yeah.
Right there, right then and there, but still by doing the right thing.
Well, yeah, the blackjack thing was funny too, because I think when we talked about that first, I was like, well,
this guy splits kings.
Yeah, I split kings one time. It was very, very late, and I have not lived it down since. This was like 4 years ago. We got someone in our office that reminds me like monthly. But see, also that was not the right textbook move. But I could have looked like a hero. Did I lose it all?
Well, so there you go. You could have made the wrong move and look like a hero. And I think that a lot of people, we see that, whether people get wrongly promoted in companies because, wow, they did something super unethical, but God, look at the revenue, or whatever that is. Or, when you and I are playing on the golf course and we're partners in a very, very competitive match, and you say, should I lay up or go for it? And I say, you should lay up. And you say, I think I'm going to go for it. That is the wrong move. Even if the result hits the green,
sure,
it was the wrong move. Hefe,
I know normally we once we start talking about the topic we're going to talk about, we don't get back to banter. But can I talk about what happened to my golf match yesterday or a couple of days ago?
Yeah,
I was in a competitive match. It's a big tournament thing that happens throughout an entire year. Mm-hmm. I was losing. The guy I was playing out of his goddamn mind. On the 13th hole, a club golf cart shows up, like the Marshall golf cart, basically. And it comes up, Mr. Jekyll, excuse me, your wife's trying to get a hold of you frantically? And I looked at my phone and I had 13 missed calls.
I mean, that's just unacceptable. And in my head, I picture this being like a rotary telephone that is linked back all the way, wired to the clubhouse. That would really be
so good. You're picturing a scene right out of Caddyshack.
Oh, God.
She was on the side of the road. She was on the side of the road, and she ended up being fine. The car started back up, et cetera, but the kids needed to be picked up. So I literally just told the guy, I'm like, hey, man, my wife's on the side of the road. You're probably going to beat me anyway by number 16 or whatever.
So what happens after maybe the 5th call? She's thinking, he needs more. I know what's going to get him to pick up.
I think that, and I also did think this. I thought that if you have a person that's a VIP or that's one of your whatever, that even if your phone is on vibrate, that after a certain number of calls, it will actually ring, like in the middle of the night. But I think that, you know what? I think that that's actually only when your phone is on Do Not Disturb. So anyway, I lost bad. I would have lost anyway, but I did have to leave in the middle. But my opponent, the guy's like, it's just like it's just like I don't know, an unwritten law that like you just don't, like, you're gonna be there for the whole time no matter what. This was inconceivable. He's just like, what, you're going, and then later, because Ash knows absolutely nothing about golf and never listens to when I tell her stuff, she goes, so you had to, so what happens? I'm like, I lost. I forfeited. And she's like, you can't pick it up later, can you? I'm like, what?
You're like, no, I was losing my ass on the 13th hole. Like, how many holes are there?
Yeah. She's like, can't you just call like a Zach Morris? Can you just time out?
That'd be great.
No?
Evie?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know that reference?
Yeah, of course. Out of This World. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's great.
Wow. Great.
Babies of the 80s. Okay.
So do we have like takeaways or anything else
going back?
to elaborate on here?
One thing that we say a lot that usually, because we can explain qualitative benefits, we can explain being able to live your life the way that you want to, and we can put a whole sheet together of like, what are these things lifestyle wise? If you wanted to just like make a list of qualitative benefits of having relationships with clients where you have earned trust, you've earned benefit of the doubt, and like to your point, something goes wrong, and their first thought is not, what did he do wrong? Their first thought is, this is going to be explained to me in a clear way, and there's going to be a solution that I'm not even going to have to worry about. It's going to be taken care of.
Yep.
There's all sorts of benefits to that like span run the gamut from on the qualitative side. There's obviously quantitative, but from business or work benefits to totally personal benefits, meaning like I feel fine taking a vacation for X amount of time because these people know that something's going to get taken care of, versus people that literally feel like they cannot go anywhere, especially in some of the industries we help out. They literally can't ever take a break because they haven't earned that benefit that like, it's fine if I take 6 hours to reply to somebody, right? So they run a gamut of all the way to personal. But one thing, I can explain this to people all the time about like, these intangibles. But one thing that I think gets it across really, really well, and I think you did this in a speaking engagement once, that's like, your clients or customers, they're just not going to be a dick, right? Like, that's the easiest way to say it. Like, there's a lot of times where somebody is irrational because they're defensive, because they feel like they could be being taken advantage of, or they didn't know something. And when you have this rapport, when you've developed this and have the benefit of the doubt, there's just going to be less conversations where the person is a jerk.
Yeah, that actually stems from, so what I used to do when I was in real estate was all kinds of different touches along the way. Like, stressful times, take care of things, exciting times, take care of things. I wasn't like a closing gift kind of guy because it was kind of stupid and cheesy, I think. But just like delivering that experience, like how do I make a real estate business feel like the Ritz-Carlton, like do really cool stuff all the time, send like a mobile car wash detailing after their move, and like do really cool stuff that is needed, Well, one of those things was I would link up with a local restaurant, and I had, a card on file there, and basically would send this couple or whatever, the buying or selling party, to dinner, everything paid, round trip transportation even provided. So they'd get dropped off, they get wined and dined, they never see a bill.
Which, by the way, is an experience that like even the wealthiest people in the entire world they can do anything, have probably never experienced, where someone gifts them that, and it's just like,
right. All you have to do is get ready, and then there's going to be a car at your front door. You just get in the car, go order whatever you want. And by the way, the staff there knew me well because obviously I have this house account there, so they know that these guests that are coming in were sent from me. So they're getting 5-star service all night,
just
right?
like white glove everything start to finish.
Yeah, so it really is a unique experience. But people would always ask me, they're like, dude, I mean, how do you monitor that? Like, shouldn't you just do a gift card? And I'm like, you're missing the whole point. Like, that's you just diluted the entire experience, because I'm saying, hey, go out and have this crazy celebration, easy on the appetizers, like 2 drinks max, right? And so people would be like, yeah, but what happens if they buy like a $1,000 bottle of wine or something? And that's, I'd say my response is like, well, then they're a dick.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at the whole pool of people I'm working with, will I bet money, literally bet money, that the majority of them are not thinking, wow, Jay's been so great to us, let's bend him over at this dinner.
Right.
No, in fact, most often it would go the other way. And when I get the bill, I'm like, man, they didn't feel comfortable
they
going
scared.
nuts.
They're trying to be nice.
They were trying to be a little too nice. So they didn't actually order as much as I would have maybe hoped they would order, right? But yeah, that's all qualitative.
That's a quantitative way of measuring the qualitative benefits of that thing. So like now, and I know, I was like meta. Well, because think about it now. So and I know we don't expose too much of what we do with Client Giant on this, but now over the course of the last 7 years, we've created a similar experience, and not the exact same experience, for people's clients hundreds, if not thousands of times all over the country. And, when you look at it, probably less than 1%, less than 0.5% of people have ever done something that looked like, oh, they're taking advantage of it, or oh, they're milking it, or they're spending excessively, or whatever it is. It's like almost never, which is basically like proof in the pudding of the qualitative benefit, right? Like this person, the way that we do it is the same way you did it originally, is this person by the time that they receive this type of experience, being sent to dinner, round trip transportation, et cetera, they've had like 5, 6, sometimes 10 touches to them that are super thoughtful, not asking for anything over the course of the previous 30, 60, 90 days. And I've never actually honestly thought about this, which is silly. It's proof in the pudding that like that person has created a relationship with them and earned the benefit of the doubt, or earned the feeling that like, this is a good person. I'm just not going to take advantage of something that is thoughtful or that is generous that they're doing for me.
Yeah, and let's actually clarify that, because when we say touches, I think lots of times people think like gifts. Like, are you sending them gifts? Like, no, I'm actually not even talking about that. Like, one of the touches was handling the forwarding of address or the transfer utilities, right? So something like that is like, that's one thing on their checklist that they're going to have to do. Well, if our team can just do it for you, you're like, wow, that's kind of nice. Or the moving boxes, right? Like they just show up. You're like, oh my God, I got the best gift ever. I got moving boxes. No, that's not the point. It's just like, this is designed to make the experience feel so like airy and enjoyable. And the challenge to companies listening to this is that almost any experience that mirrors something like this is in the hospitality industry. It's like, oh yeah, I've experienced this at this restaurant. I've experienced this at this hotel. How do you do it, like the forwarding address, in something that is not the hospitality industry? And you brought this up about like the personal element. So it's interesting you say that. Building rapport, of course, like if it points back to your company, you're going to see like what goes around comes around, sure. And maybe there's some selfish component in realizing that. But the personal benefit is incredible. Like, because I treated my real estate business in such a way where everything was personal like that, I got to be a lot deeper with people and learn a lot more about my clients. I mean, you and I met through that.
Yeah.
We met through you being a client, you know? There's this guy, Ken Campbell, and his wife, Diana. They came in 2011 as like a online lead to short sell their house.
So not a referral, not anything. It was totally just
ice cold lead. Okay. I could have just serviced that thing and been done with it, right? But like every step along the way, we got closer and closer. And to this day, like they are really good friends of mine. And like I value their friendship so, so much. And I mean, they don't even live here anymore. They live out of state. Like there's nothing in it for me. And we're still sending them stuff like as surprises, thinking of them during the holidays, random times throughout the year, just because like that's what you do, right? And I remember some of the things that have come from that, I mean, we see it on the golf course when you build like a rapport with someone, and by the end of the 4 hours, they're like, anything you ever need, ever. Like, here you go. And you're like, wow, that's crazy. Like, I've known you were a stranger 4 hours ago, and now you're like opening up your house in Aspen to me or whatever it is, right? Yeah. That hasn't happened, but if anyone's listening.
Anybody got a house in Aspen, we're totally open.
But I can think of, like, as I'm thinking about this, I can think of so many examples in my head where clients of mine went so far out of their way to take care of me, not even like, oh, I'm going to give you referrals or do, like, I mean, really personal things. And that's really special. It kind of like makes you think like, well, who's reciprocating what, it's the upward spiral instead of the downward spiral.
What are some takeaways that people can do? I mean, I would say a lot of the stuff about the like personal or life, family benefits of like being able to live your life the way that you want to, et cetera. I would encourage people to think about any parts of your job, your industry, your business, the way you operate it, where there are things that feel like obligations that you feel like you need to be doing to service clients that you really don't know that you're adding that much benefit to. It's just something that like that's how you've always done it. And maybe you do it because you think, well, the client's going to feel like I'm not paying attention if I don't do that. And start to think about whether if I had a stronger level of rapport, a stronger relationship with this person, and maybe set expectations a little bit better, could I be leveraging that time for something else? Do I actually need to be doing all those things? Could I be either doing more business with it or be on the golf course or with my family or doing something that I enjoy that re-energizes me?
I have two takeaways. One is business, one is personal. On the business side, the challenge is to any business owner, operator, company listening to this is to think of something that you could insert into your process that is a benefit to the client that is not related to what you do. Mm-hmm. So an example of that would be 11 Madison Park in New York, feeding the meter for people who are dining there, or the forwarding of address, transfer utility things, like anything that you're like, this isn't what I'm supposed to do. This isn't what I was hired to do, but I'm going to do it to elevate the experience. Think of one thing. The personal thing is to go out of your way to do something nice for someone else that you otherwise wouldn't do, and to expect nothing in return.
Do they have to tell no one?
Sure, tell no one. In fact, here's one of my favorite ones. Next time you're out to dinner and you have great service, you know the name of the server, you know the restaurant, so you know the address. Write that server a thank you card, a handwritten thank you card, address it to the restaurant, send it to them. And I bet you they have never experienced anything like that before. And you may never hear from that person again, and you don't need to tell anyone. But I bet you if you did go back to that restaurant, you're getting a free round of drinks instantly. You know what I mean? Like, that's you can't help the fact that it's going to be reciprocated. But it's like, just don't even go back there again, right? Just you making people's days, and it's a domino effect, because what ends up happening is, of course, we feel inherently good when we do things nice for people, and the recipient obviously feels good. But it's a whole chain reaction, because that server now goes home to their spouse in a way different mood, and it starts to impact people as it cascades down. So those would be my two challenges: one business, one personal.
Yeah, I'm going to forget this, so I don't say it now. I don't know how related it is, but in the Phoenix airport a few days ago, I had like 30 minutes between flights. Yes, I took connecting flights. I know you hate that. I ate really, really quickly at a restaurant, and the server, it was packed. It was like one of those, like the one airport restaurant that's just like
Twin Peaks.
Anyway, the guy was busting his ass. Like, he had so many tables. He was running around, et cetera. He was super attentive, got me really quickly. Where are you going to be? This, that. I told him, like, hey, my flight is in 30 minutes. Can you be? Absolutely no problem. Crushed it. Brought me the bill before, because he knew. I didn't even have to ask him for brought me the thing. Of course, I tipped him 50%, right? But it was an inexpensive meal, so that's not really going to change anything for him. And when he came back and he pulled it from me, I said, hey man, this is a really tough job, and you're doing a really, really great job. And he paused in the middle of all this hectic thing. He's like, that honestly means a lot to me.
Yeah, cool.
Right?
Yeah.
And then walked away, and I was like, okay, one, people probably haven't been saying that to him, even though everybody was watching him do that. But two, it's like something that tiny.
Yeah.
Right?
That's awesome.
So those are the takeaways. Like, subscribe, and send us comments. Ask us for things. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us who you want to maybe see on as a guest on the podcast. We're going to start doing that soon. And we'll see you next week.